Here you can see an example of the neglect syndrome, both left and right, or known as bilateral neglect. What this syndrome is sensory deprivation. It usually happens on the left side of the brain, but in this case, her stroke manifested on both sides of her brain, and therefore you would get a projection of a drawing of the lines, central line in the clock where she writes 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And she sort of knows that that's not right, but she's not aware of how to change that. And she creates a little circle to the left lower corner here. And she tries to correct that, and she actually puts the 1 and 2 on the right side, but then she said, I can't. So even though she was trying to correct that, she didn't have the ability, the pathways to accommodate that correction. And you'll find that neglect discussed in the advanced course more. Here's one of the beginning exercises I gave this woman. Remember, she's 70-something years old, 76, I believe, on intake. And what I did was I had her copy one of the exercises from the Neuro-Art Therapy Drawing Series. And I had her tell me what shape it was. Is this a circle? Is this a triangle? Is this a rectangle? And next I asked her, would you write the color that you would like this to be, but only write the first letter of that color inside of the shape. And what that does is, number one, gets you connected with the shape, which is dimensional analysis, where the first part of attention, actually the first part of attention is sensory information, because we can have no attention without proper sensory information. But the part that really is important to this course is the dimensional analysis mechanism prior to the cognitive functioning. So that's what we're working on here, working on the decoding and the early process mechanism of attention, which is the decoding dimensional analysis. Now something interesting happens here. She begins to draw a tree. There are nice bright colors inside that tree. There's a bike there. There are stones there. She's actually beginning to move from both sides of the paper now. If you can see, there was a strong line underneath the rocks in the tree and the bike, which is brown. While she did put other things on other sides of the paper, right and left sides of the paper, I had to encourage her to do that, and I also encouraged her to extend the brown line out, and you can see she did it with purple on the right and on the left. So it was after she put those things there that she put the lines there as well. She titled this Me, and it's a very interesting title because it's here that she begins to understand things in her environment again, which tells me that pathways are beginning to open up on right and left sides of her brain. As we continue to work opening the right and left sides of her brain, the woman was instructed to paint the paper first, and she would often start on the right side and move to the left side, and then from the left side to the right side. And of course, this is trying to give the eyes movements and also to get the color stimulating both sides of the page in her brain at the same time. Now, this lady had paralysis in her right hand, and I am the one who is in charge of dipping the brush, cleaning the brush, putting the paint on it, and then she paints. She has a very nice stroke. It's very short and direct, and you'll see that continue throughout the work that she does. But this was another beginning stage of where we're trying to work on removing or correcting the neglect syndrome. This is another painting that we worked on, and again we're working on shapes. Remember that decoding is the primary part or mechanism for attention. As we began to open pathways, I again had her make shapes from left to right side of the page, and this time I cut out different shapes for her, and I asked her to take the shapes and lay them on the paper where she would like them. We also, in this exercise, had her write numbers because I'm working both bottoms up, sensory, and top down, which is cognition. And in writing the numbers, she's connecting to her cognitive functioning. So she wrote the numbers, and I also cut out these numbers, and I asked her to place them on the paper where she'd like them to be. And she was able to place them on both sides of the paper, and she enjoyed doing this exercise very much. So here's a very pretty painting that she began to do. It was this one day she began to take form, and things began to head straight. Very much like de Kooning, and remember, de Kooning had Alzheimer's, and this lady has a stroke, so you have to wonder if there's some type of connection in their regaining their strength. This painting, she's clearly on right and left side of the page. I thought that this looked like an aquarium, so I took part of the page and cut out the sides and made it look more fluid. Out of the side cuttings, I made a little fish, which you can see in the bottom, and it looked like an aquarium, and she kind of really got a kick out of that, so that was very pleasurable for her. Here we had stopped working with the Neuro-Art Therapy shapes, and she was just free-handedly painting, and you can see every piece of this paper is covered. Now the forms are kind of not defined, and yet they are having some shape and definition. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to go back to the shapes and see if we can't really regenerate the attention mechanism so she becomes more focused with this. And that's exactly what we did. Now you can see the difference after we did the Neuro-Art Therapy exercise, which was the last slide you saw. This is the painting she did 1 week later, and it had the similar theme, but the flowers are much more defined. The only part that I did in this painting was I put the vine and I made the leaves for her, which she helped. But all the flowers are hers, and I added some little things inside the flowers, but all the flowers are very much hers, and she did every part of that herself. Quite remarkable from her earlier work. Also interesting to note is that she's been reading. She was able to read before. How could she read with bilateral neglect? She reads for an hour, half an hour to an hour at a time. She was sent to a behavioral optometrist, and he gave her special glasses. The type of reading she's doing is large print from Reader's Digest books. She understands what she reads, and when she's not tired, she can pretty much tell you about the story. She will always struggle with memory because of the damage is so severe, but she does have periods when she's rested that she can really think pretty good, and she's very sharp. She's a great lady. Here's a message from the client. You can read it below. And I'm going to be leaving this presentation for now. I have enjoyed bringing this to you, and the next few slides after this lady's statement will get you more familiar with the Neuro-Art Therapy Kit, what it can do, what it has demonstrated to do, and how to order one if you like, and also where to find more resources. I just want to tell you that I really have enjoyed putting this work together. And if I can be of any further assistance to you, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.